Not only is Ryan Gosling one of Hollywood's greatest heartthrobs, he's also a hell of a watch collector.
Yeah, we're talking Patek, Rolex, Omega, Tag. Well, now Tag.
What is up, Watch Fam? I am Christian, the curator of the Theo and Harris Vintage Watch Shop.
My name is Michael, and this video is sponsored by Ridge. Check out this wallet.
Terrific, the Ridge wallet. I love it.
Yes, sir.
More on them later. Yeah, Ryan Gosling, fantastic watch collector.
Fantastic watch collector, both on the screen and off the screen,
Yeah.
but we have a lot more information of what he's wearing on screen.
The watches that he wears on screen are so specifically like good watches that I can't help but to think that it's just him as a watch collector forcing these watches into his movies.
I have read that he helped pick the Patek out for Drive. He had a personal recommendation for La La Land,
Yeah.
all of these movies. Now he's obviously with Tag, so he
Yes.
has to be stuck to Tag. But even on his newest movie, he's wearing cool vintage Tags.
Yes.
So he made it work.
Incredibly cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not the only famous, watch collector, right? Famous celebrity. Like, we talked about Brad Pitt pretty recently, who's become like a Vacheron 222 collector, which is weird because he is or was a Breitling ambassador. So
Really?
there's a whole video on that as well. It's all kind of interesting. you know?
Nothing beats Kevin Hart saying on a Hodinkee video, though, I'm so sick of wearing AP.
Mind you, he's an Audemars Piguet brand representative, and he's like, "Oh, I wish I could."
Man, I wish I could wear something else.
I'm like, okay, it's kind of weird. Where's all the money we gave you?
What happened?
Meaning as AP.
To start off, I think what Ryan Gosling does very well is he does not, like, we always try to strive to find some crazy different watch, when at the end of the day, Ryan Gosling wears very expensive watches, but oftentimes watches that we wouldn't consider crazy, especially when we get to his Rolex in a second. But you're like, wow, that looks fantastic. And all you did was wear a Rolex that I can get on eBay right now.
Totally.
All you did was wear a Rolex that I can get on the Theo and Harris shop right now.
Right.
So that's what I think is really funny. But anyways, we'll start off with Drive. This is a Patek Calatrava.
Yep.
This is basically my dream Calatrava because the 96, the first ever Calatrava, is a little too small. And I think the lugs are a little less big, thick than I'd want. But the 5196 in white gold is exactly what the doctor ordered.
It's a great watch. I've owned a couple. They're great. I owned them when they were $15,000. You know, I think they're probably mid-20s now.
Yeah.
But they're great watches. The only problem with the 5196 is, I have a hard time not comparing watches to their predecessors, right?
Of course, yeah.
Like if you put this Rolex GMT next to the original GMTs, you say, well, enough has changed where they are different. This is a modern GMT.
Yes, sure.
Whereas these Patek Calatravas, they're shockingly close. They're extremely close.
This is the exact same watch.
So it's just a matter of like, okay, well, is it as good? And that's
Are you referencing the 96?
the 96 or the 570s, which are the larger ones.
Okay, sure.
Right. So I think that this watch is great. One little problem I think is, and you don't see it in this version.
Yeah.
You see it in the platinum version. This is a truly great watch.
Sure.
But something that you notice, or at least that I notice, is that the subseconds are extremely small and oddly, placed.
I would agree.
Now, if you look up Patek 570, you can't help but to notice how much better of a watch the original one was.
Wow.
The subdial is much larger and it's lower, and that's because the movement fit into that case better. Patek's movement in these 5196s is an older movement. It's a very small movement. So yeah, it just they didn't. They didn't update the movement, so the seconds are in a weird spot.
Before we get to the next watch, which is kind of the crazy steal of the whole thing, I do find it fascinating. Or I was thinking about this recently, like large watches with small movements. It's kind of like, even if it's a very nice watch, it's kind of like, okay, so you could have made it smaller, which I know it has to fit on certain people's wrists, but I'm like, it feels kind of weird. It feels like making an SUV out of a tiny little engine that doesn't push it. I'm like, 100%. Stick small.
Yes. Well, we were at Nomos in Glashütte last week or 2 weeks ago, and we were talking about the date windows, date placement.
Yeah.
And they said the reason they can do such perfect date placement is because all of these movements are individual, right? And they're made for the watches themselves, not appropriated. So that's why their date movements their date windows are literally in the exact right spot. Because they're not making a compromise. They don't need to.
Exactly.
They made the movement for this watch. That's it.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
It is fascinating.
But this is nice, though. The sub-seconds is not insulting here. On the P, I think it is.
Right. And if you don't know, the 96 is what saved Patek.
Yes, that's right.
That's when the Sterns came in, right? And just were like, let's just do a simple, beautiful watch, and Patek was back.
In the 1930s.
This is what I was talking about when I talk about getting really caught up in the watch world.
Yes.
Because I remember when Ryan Gosling wore this, I forget to what event, he was in a white suit, whatever. But I was obsessing over the watch because it looks so fantastic on his wrist. And then if you do a little research, you find out it is an Air King 5500. Mm-hmm. It has a little bit of a special dial, which I'll let you jump into. But you're like, oh, that's not that hard.
I could just get that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's cool when you see, great collectors own simple things that you can also own. Right?
Well, because you immediately realize, you're like, oh, that is a cool watch. I kind of get lost in all of these other celebrity watches and stuff like that.
Stuff that most of us will never be able to afford or whatever. I mean, it's just the truth.
Sure, yeah.
It can become almost a little bit like depressing, if you really let it, it's like, oh wow, all the things that they have and I could never have. Oh, poor me, woe is me.
Or like it's a boring watch or whatever.
Yeah, when you set the bar for what excites you so high, it's wild. But it's not true, right? Because there are great watches under 10,000, under 5,000, under 1,000 that you can own if you just take a step back and realize, oh yeah, wait, that watch is great on its merits. It doesn't 100%. Need to be a $100,000 vintage Rolex.
Yeah, so this is the Air King 5500 with a 369 dial.
Yep.
That's, and I should say daggered indices.
Yep.
That's the level of, because there are some 5500s where the dial is, to me, less than good looking.
Yeah, that's fine.
But this is the level where you're like, oh, okay, like, yes, you did get a very typical Rolex, one that you can find, but no, you made sure you got the right dial. Yes. And it's perfectly patinaed. Totally. It's a little browned over.
There's so much to love about vintage Rolex, right? That's what the entire vintage watch shop at Theo & Harris has been based off of for the last 8 years. It's, there are beautiful, interesting, detailed watches to be had. Again, under $10,000, under $5,000. I mean, it's true. I mean, I know that's still a lot of money, but
of course,
Rolex still is a great brand, God knows, but for different reasons.
Yes.
Then the details were so rich, and Rolex was pushing the boundaries of design more in texture and in different configurations. And
they had to get a vehicle up to speed, and then when they got it up to speed, they were like, all right, let's not mess this up.
Exactly.
But for a while, they were like, well, maybe this will help us go faster. Maybe this will help us go faster.
Exactly. So there was so much beauty in 20th century Rolex, and so if you like that stuff, going over to the Theo & Harris shop, obviously, Rolex, Omega, things like that. Those brands were they were more daring.
Well, we'll get to Omega in a second because there's a watch that I don't know if you would actually even list on the shop because of the condition of the dial.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I thought was really funny when they get a close up. But before we get there, obviously this is a Submariner, not the most famous watch in Crazy Stupid Love. We'll get to that in a second. But this is the 16610, which is just a fantastic. It's a sub.
Stainless steel Submariner.
Looks great. He wears it with a suit. Whatever. Moving on. Watch. Then we get to the star of Crazy Stupid Love, of course, the Rolex Yellow Bubbleback. I don't think the exact reference is confirmed, but people say that 3372. The Bubbleback is a fantastic watch.
Oh, yeah.
It sits, obviously, very high in your wrist because it's a thick watch. Mm-hmm. But that is the definition of I wanted a Rolex, I wanted a cool one. And the Bubbleback is kind of the underappreciated Rolex from that era. So I'll wear it.
Totally.
And I'll wear it in a movie.
It's an amazing watch, a beautiful bezel, a great case. Everything about these watches is interesting. They're difficult to own. They're a bitch to service.
Really?
They're horrible.
Really?
But they're great watches. They're really, really beautiful, interesting watches.
You're watching Rolex as a toddler learn okay, maybe we should have a screw down crown. Yep. Maybe it should be this. Maybe it should be that. So that's very cool. This video is sponsored by The Ridge. You know that scene in Seinfeld with George's massive wallet?
Oh my God, yes.
I used to be someone like that. Yes. And I know a lot of people that are still
like that. It wasn't that long ago.
It wasn't. And now, boom.
Yep.
And even worse, my keys were a problem. Because I had so many keys on the side of my pants. You call me a janitor. People that I walk with would call me a dog.
Yep.
Fixed. Listen to that.
It's amazing.
It is amazing, honestly.
Ridge has changed the game in everyday carry, making all of your cards and all of your cash completely accessible and contained.
And it's in titanium, which we got a few models. We got one in polar. We got one in sand. Beautiful, but obviously I'm a huge fan of titanium. My watch is titanium, but they come in 30 different colors and styles, including carbon fiber, burnt titanium, forged ember, and burnt Damascus. Obviously also designed with RFID blocking materials materials so people can't digitally pickpocket you. And you can get an optional AirTag attachment so you never have to lose your wallet again.
It's just incredibly well made. I mean,
it's beautiful.
And because of the elastic on the sides, I guess the size of the wallet is just perfectly kind of compacted to exactly what you need. Yeah. This is awesome.
It fits up to 12 cards. It has a lifetime guarantee. Why should you have a wallet that is old now, that has your cards fall out of it when there's stuff like this?
No, you're right.
And you can get 30% off your order when buying the Ridge wallet and key case together. So a combination like mine.
I definitely think you ought to. You are no longer making all the jangly noises.
Yes.
All your keys are still compact, and this is just great. I mean, this is great. Yeah. Nothing is worse than being that guy with just this huge wallet in your pocket.
Even just having a wallet where things fall out.
Exactly.
It's terrible.
Exactly.
So with over 3 million customers, 80,000 5-star reviews, the Ridge team is so confident that you like it, they'll let you test drive it for 99 days, and you can send it back for a full refund.
I highly suggest you do that because you're going to absolutely love the Ridge.
You can go to ridge.com/Theo Harris to save 10% off of your order when you use code Theo Harris.
I think you really should.
I agree.
Thank you so much to Ridge for sponsoring today's episode, and everybody go over to the Ridge.
Then we get to this from La La Land. Would you sell this Omega?
Why does it all look off?
Yeah, exactly.
Like the hands are huge.
The hands are huge. I've seen dials like this before from Omega, but I do believe it's a redial.
It looks like it might be a redial, yeah.
That's in La La Land.
Even the crown is weird. The whole watch is a little weird. Crown.
You could see there's not the...
Yeah, the whole watch is a little wonky. It's a little wonky.
Would that ever go in the shop?
No, I mean, if that is what it looks like, then of course not. No.
Yeah, right.
No, yeah, it's bizarre.
That was, I can't say this specifically because he did wear different watches in the film, but it is actually noted that Ryan Gosling was working with Damien Chazelle on watches for the film, so this made the cut.
Oh, funny.
This strikes me as,
again, maybe it's a bad photo. It's totally possible. Maybe it's a bad photo. It's low resolution, whatever. But no, the watch does look wonky. I mean, it just does. I mean, even is it steel? I mean, or is it gold plated that's been worn down?
Gold plated, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't look to be a great vintage watch. That's it.
Exactly. I will fully agree because I remember seeing La La Land in theaters. I saw it twice in theaters. And the first time I was like, oh, it's an Omega, and the second time I was like, what is that?
How was La La Land?
La La Land was great.
Really?
I didn't feel fulfilled, but I felt a sinking, terrible feeling.
Got it.
That sometimes I like to get from movies.
I never watched it. The
music is fantastic. It's so depressing.
Okay.
And Ryan Gosling's not a good singer, so he's like, it sounds sad. Anyways, moving on. Omega again, obviously first man in space. Ryan Gosling is decked out in Omega because, fun fact, the Speedmaster was the first watch on the moon.
I thought it was a race car watch.
No, that's what you would think. That's what's so crazy. It was the first watch on the moon.
I didn't know. Why don't they talk about that more?
Well, it's tough to market. So obviously he wears the first Omega in space, which is the 105003. This is the Ed White, which I would really love, a modern day Ed White, hand-built movement. A lot of it's set in a gold, which is fantastic. But it's just a cheeseburger. It's so thick.
Yeah.
It's like a double Big Mac. No, a Whopper.
It's a Whopper.
Yeah, it's a Whopper. He also wears the Omega CK2605, which I think is a fantastically beautiful watch.
It's a nice watch, yeah.
A steel watch with rose gold accents. Yeah. Fantastic. And a kind of honeycomb dial.
It does look textured, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh, it's fantastic.
Really great watch.
So that's great. Speedmaster, yeah, that's the big fun fact there. Like I said, it went to the moon. And then we get to his tag days.
Yes, well, he's an ambassador for Tag now, so it's there's a lot of Tag going on.
It's funny how you see the switch, and then we've made comments about this before about celebrities that are clearly they have to wear a certain brand, but they want to branch out from what the brand's doing right now because what the brand's doing right now is a bit more mass appeal. So they go super vintage.
Totally.
And it's a compliment to the brand, but like a compliment to all the people that retired from the brand.
Right.
You know what I mean? So he wears a lot of tags that I didn't go over, but he does or is starting to wear vintage tags in film.
Well, Hoyers,
yeah. That's the move.
Yep.
This is a Hoyer reference 1158, which, have I photographed this for you before? Has this been in the shop?
Maybe. It's possible.
There was definitely a different brand that has a very similar design.
There was a Movado Datatron that might have been it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember those watches.
That is a fantastic looking
great
watch.
Bracelet, too. Really nice watch. Love the left-hand crown. Great.
Yeah, left-hand crown, and this is a different watch. The Omega Chronostop. This reminds me of a little bit. Chronostop is one of my favorite watches.
Great watch.
Especially with the driver dial.
Yep.
Fantastic.
if you love watches like I do, if you think that they mean something more than the time, then head on over to theoandharris.com and shop our selection of vintage watches and handmade straps. They're unique and they're special, and once they're gone for good.
I had to end it on the watch that I have been saying I love for so long. Yeah. I'm just watching tick up over time.
Yeah.
This is not the specific one that I was looking at, but this is the Heuer reference 2448, vintage Heuer. They've remade it now, but the vintage ones were both smaller and thinner. Mm-hmm. So I like that a lot better, the thinness of them.
And this is a solid yellow gold model.
This is, the one he wore is solid yellow gold. This one picture just plated.
Got it. Yeah, super cool.
Super cool. And I really... I'll get one day, and I didn't have, but I held on to one from the shop for a while of the reeditions in the 90s, which is fantastic, but I want to go original. Now I decided. Thinner, smaller. I like that.
They're beautiful watches. I mean, people that are older than Michael and I definitely remember, the historical or cultural importance of Heuer, right? The racing era. My dad remembers it, right? It's just
really.
Oh yeah. It's just I'm I guess too young, but I'm not a tool watch guy. I'm wearing a GMT at the moment, but I don't really wear vintage chronographs. Michael's chronograph right now, this Zenith, is an incredible watch. I love it. I was like, oh really? Because it's for sale. No,
dude, want it?
I love it. But Ryan Gosling really, maybe just because I saw him in Drive and things like that. Yeah. He just really embodies that, kind of badass, driver. Being a driver isn't cool anymore. It's not really something that kids look up to. Like,
you mean like a race driver or just like a driver?
Well, being a race car driver, but that was, street application, right? I mean, it is a cool thing, and it's definitely baked into our culture. It's just, it's not currently hot.
Yes.
Right? And he kind of made it hot again for a minute, you know?
Yeah.
I think, if you go back to the 20th century, look at the things that were cool, I mean, there was that kind of Americana, race car driver, the motorcycle, right? Very informed by the films that we watched, right? Marlon Brando, right?
Steve McQueen?
Steve McQueen.
Yeah.
So, again, we don't have that at the moment, but if we do, he's pretty close to it.
Exactly. There was a picture, it reminds me of it, and no shade to this guy, I forget his name, he heads up Rolex in France, and he was at, again, I forget the race, either way, he's wearing a Daytona, and like filming the Daytona ticking as the race goes on, and it embodied that perfectly, because I was like, you're the nerd, you're not the guy with the watch, and you're not even someone on the sidelines like timing something for the actual race car drivers, like... You're a nerd right now.
Yeah, no, again, we just didn't really have that, we didn't grow up in that era of being like idolizing race car drivers or drivers. If you watch a guy handle a car like so tight, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's wild to see, it's so, it's very masculine.
Especially going back to an age where this wasn't just like something for fun on your wrist.
Oh, totally. Did you watch Ford versus Ferrari? It was so cool.
Yeah, exactly.
And what are you really doing? You're driving around, you're driving. Yeah, but it's so cool.
The car caught on fire, exploded. You're like, whoa.
It's loud, dangerous competition. So at its base, it's interesting to guys. Exactly. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And what's the old saying? Back when racing was dangerous and sex was safe.
Whoa.
That's like a race car thing,
Wow.
It's true. People would fucking die. They just died, I mean,
I watched a documentary on the video on free divers.
Crazy.
Cool if you do it, but the whole time I was like, this doesn't seem like a good idea.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
Which is race car driving is a little, it's not that much different, but still.
Yeah.
I was just like, this is insane what you're doing.
Totally. Yeah. But, all right. Well, that's it.
That's it.
Very cool watches. Good job, Ryan Gosling.
Yeah, great job.
What is up, watch fam? We're back with the Zero. Today is episode 12, and we're back with Carl Cohen. Carl's a third or fourth generation watch dealer. He's also a gemologist, which is a big part of today's conversation. We're talking about stone dials from Piaget and Rolex and what makes some of them so special. We're also talking about watch modification, like Karl Lagerfeld's black PVD Royal Oak. We're talking about ladies' Nautiluses and when it makes sense for a man to wear one. So, as always, we're giving you a free 15-minute peek into today's conversation, which does go on for over an hour over on our podcast community at The Zero. You can join our community at patreon.com/Christian Zerone. It's not free. It's $10 a month, but we give out rewards to all of our members, both at sign up and at Christmas, making it functionally free. You can get a free 7-day trial right now if you head on over and sign up, and I hope to see you on over there. What about the AP Spider-Man?
Oh, God.
You like that one?
I don't understand. I'm like this, the Spider-Man and the whole AP thing, like, I don't understand any of it at this point. Like, you just have fuck you money and you're like, oh, this is cool. This is a novelty. Like, without a question, amazing watchmaking, detail, craftsmanship, right? But like, it to me feels very kitschy.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, because it is kitschy, it's but totally like, kitschy. It almost to me reminds me of some of the stuff years ago that like Hublot was doing.
Totally, 100%.
And it's like, have you lost your way? Like, what's going on?
I mean, completely. It is not becoming of a serious manufacturer of traditional haute horology. It's not. It's at all. It's bizarre. I thought the Black Panther was terrible. I think this is stupid and terrible. I mean, the only justification I could see is, the same way that people want to, have a fun swatch. To some people, an AP might as well be a swatch. So
right, or fun. Some of this RM, like
right, and if that's the case, couldn't they have just done it in a more tasteful way?
Right.
Like, did it need to be like so on the nose? Come on.
For something so ridiculous.
It's like one of those old experiments, like the Stanford experiment or whatever.
Yeah.
It's right? I mean, it's totally, how far can we push this person? How far can we push them? So, and it's interesting too, because you have an outgoing CEO and an incoming CEO
in a unique position.
Yeah. So it's like, does the incoming CEO, I forget her name, but does the incoming CEO have a shared vision for the brand? And if so, okay, which is bizarre, but okay. Or B, is the outgoing CEO basically just saying, fuck you, I'm just going to get my way until the end? That's nuts too. You know? I don't know.
But
I'm not sure which one's worse.
It's a tough position to come into, right?
Yeah.
But then having left your mark like that, who's going to be like...
I know.
But...
And his legacy will, be, I guess, the 1159 for better or for worse.
Which I think
some of them are very cool.
I think, some of them with like the aventurine dial.
Totally.
Like, it's unbelievable. But
I like... And especially with the pattern now, they added very...
The brand had become singularly known for, the Royal Oak.
Right.
And iterations of that, and obviously the concepts, but like to introduce something like that was visibly so different, yet really not that different looking at the DNA of the brand. Like, that
was brilliant. I think it was a master.
It never had an opportunity to succeed, I don't think.
Yeah. But you're right. I mean, it was probably the best introduction or like collection expansion in the sense that it really carried through the DNA of the brand.
Right.
Or the DNA of the brand post 72, right? I mean, but it is. I mean, that is the brand now.
The crystal alone on that thing. Like,
brilliant.
Yeah.
Even the lugs, the finishing, the design, it was brilliant. It was brilliant. And I think it will continue to be a successful watch. I think it's successful. But yeah, it just seems to be inconsistent to do the 1159 and to also do the Spider-Man and the
Black Panther.
Weird.
But then, like, I feel like they're also with the 1159 trying to re-enter an area that's so hot right now, right? Like looking at all the micro brands, and small shops doing amazing things in horology. Like, obviously those are at a higher price point, but now your 1159 sort of is competing for the same dollars.
It is. Yeah.
Which is a tough proposition.
Yeah. I also think that, the concepts I think are really, really interesting. I mean, they're obviously very expensive, but they are fascinating, and even in their design, like they're cool, I think they're really cool. I wonder if we'll see, they'll never bring those down in price, but I wonder if we'll see a line expansion into kind of keeping that, because it is more, because you've got the offshore, right? It's just, I don't know if that's the level of aggression that is mass market now, whereas the concept is a little bit more interesting looking, a little bit more sporty, a little bit softer, still aggressive and masculine, but not over the top. I think a lot of guys look at the offshore and they say, that's just too fucking far, man.
Yeah.
That's a bridge too far for me. So I wonder if they'll introduce something, I suppose, in the line of like the diver. The divers are a little bit more palatable.
That's sort of been a path, right, that a lot of brands have taken.
Yeah.
I think like one that's actually in the news a lot now is Tag. Not because this amazing watch, right?
Yeah.
But they for years did concept watches, right?
Yes, that's right.
With the, I think SLR and some of the McLaren and like this dual drive movement and so forth, where they did a lot of cool things. Yeah. And then it would trickle down into like the Carrera line and other things. And they've got a new head whose father's done some pretty good things.
Yeah.
So I'm very curious to see what he's going to do with that brand.
He's got to succeed. If he fucks it up, he's fucked, the kid. I mean, fucked in the way that he could be. I mean, but if he fucks up on Tag, he's not going to get the promotion to the next company.
Right.
Because Tag is a stepping stone, right? The same way that the other brother is at Louis Vuitton. I mean,
right.
It's a stepping stone. So do well here and you will get a promotion to be the head of another brand.
Right. And was one of them at Rimowa?
Yeah. Yeah.
So they're a third brother who was...
they're like 5 brothers or something. But yes, Rimowa, obviously Tag, they're all over. Yeah. So it's fascinating,
But then it's like, to me, I think there will be success, and I think...
Those,
and in part because you've grown up around the world's largest, luxury conglomerate, right? Yeah. So you've been around success and seen what you have to do to take a brand from A to B, or take a brand that's been at the top and fallen back, and how do you help them reinvent? Because, I mean, Tag was hot for a while, and I still think they make great watches.
They do.
For the money.
And they're incredibly famous. I think that we lose sight of that in the watch industry, like how powerful the name Tag is. If people buy Tag still.
Yeah.
We don't realize that. They probably do astronomical amounts of money that we don't even understand. When's the last time one of your buddies bought a Tag in the watch world?
But like if someone asks me what's a good starter watch 100%. For a kid or someone getting in, I'm like, Tag's awesome. You can buy a...
And the new Carreras are incredibly good.
Right.
They're great.
I mean, the price
new Monacos?
Yeah. The price point's high, but everything's high, right?
Everything's high. I kind of just look at it, and I know this sounds kind of silly, but if you're looking to get into a big, a watch brand with name recognition, I'd rather you overspend by $1,500 or $1,800 than get a watch that's just not that good.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of where we are as consumers. It's like, I guess I'll just fork up a little bit more money to get a good thing.
Right.
Even though I know it's overpriced. I'd rather get the good thing.
But the Monaco is cool, and the Carreras are cool.
100%. They're doing a great job.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
And they've got, a ton of support, right? Like Hodinkee super high on Tag. Like, they'll continue to grow and do really, really well.
Yeah, so I just think that's an interesting one, right? Because, like you said, we don't talk about it a lot, but there's a ton of those watches sold every day, right?
Look at the Lady Datejust, same thing. Well, I don't know. I don't know that many women that buy Lady Datejust. Like, I don't, not in my circle, but the world does.
Right.
The whole fucking world buys that watch.
Right.
Isn't it the hottest selling Rolex? It's like,
historically it has to be, right?
So that's it. Like,
yeah, I mean, when I worked in stores, like, you sold more women's than men's.
Look at Longines.
Yeah.
They sell watches, but they sell a ton of fucking watches to the world. But it's just like, it's crazy how much business they probably do out there. We don't even realize it.
Yeah.
It's a multi-billion-dollar brand.
Right. Like, that's huge.
It's huge. It's fucking huge.
Right.
And maybe in a given mom and pop AD, they're only selling 3 a month or 4 a month.
But if you have 3,000 points of distribution in, the United States, I'm not saying they do, but that adds up really quick.
It's insane. That's another brand that I really do like, that I always
Longines.
Yeah. Well, I do work with them, and I support the hell out of them because I think they're good. And wait till you see all their new watches from this year.
Are they doing anything with like their heritage?
Yeah, it's most of their developments are on the heritage end. But dude, like,
because some of that stuff is amazing.
It's amazing. Some of these watches that you're going to see this year, phenomenal. I'm actually getting one. They're that good. Yeah.
Some like well-known case.
Some well-known cases and some improvements on things that they have reissued, but now they really understood, okay, let's keep this really close to the vest. Let's keep this very vintage. But the quality on some of the bracelets and the cases is just unbelievable.
And the collectors for that brand, I mean, they know their stuff.
It's huge.
Like, you think guys know Rolex. It's like there's so much more to Longines, the provenance, the case, the movement.
And they support
right.
collectors with archive stuff that a lot of brands don't to that degree.
No, I mean, it's, from what I understand, more in depth than like a Patek. Rolex, forget about it. It's nothing like Patek. I went last week, great experience. They're very helpful, but they don't share the amount of information that Longines does.
Yeah. They've got a whole workshop. I visited it, dedicated to just their archive work. It's insane. To look at their file cabinets and file cabinets of original dials and hands. I mean, these guys don't even think about new stuff. It's a whole room of people just dedicated to restoring old stuff. It's unbelievable.
That's awesome.
Oh, it was so cool. Yeah, it's a great brand. You know who's, we'll wrap up now, but you know who always has crazy Nautiluses? Salt Bay?
He has.
I don't know if they're on fucking Memo or what.
He actually has the same watch we're talking of that I own.
Yeah.
The difference is he has full pave and I have Centerlink pave. And that's the only other one I've seen in this configuration. I know that it was being offered for sale on Chrono 24 through a dealer in Norway, and I asked for a price, and it was like 330 euros.
So I don't know what he's doing, meaning if those are his watches.
He's selling a lot of steaks.
I know, he's selling a lot of steaks. Crazy, but it's cool. It's a 3800 reference?
Yeah.
Yeah, he only wears 3800 reference since day one.
But it's a good size.
It is a cool size. It's a delicate size, but it's a beautiful size. Now, they're nice.
Have you worn like 3700 or 5711 or 3712?
Yeah.
I find them large.
Yeah, well, I do like them quite a bit. Do you still have the, what was it, 3710? What were you just showing, a 57?
Oh, yeah, that was just a client's thing.
Yeah. Did you get that? Did you sell that?
No, they just want you to show it. It's cool.
I know. I almost texted you about it, but I was like, nah, I'm not going to buy it. It's a nice watch, though.
Yeah, those have just taken a hit, right? And all that. But like, I remember the first time I tried to buy a 3800.
Yeah.
It was probably like 2016.
Yeah.
And I didn't know a lot about it, but someone posted it for sale, and I was like, oh, it's a gold Nautilus. This seems like a good deal. And it was like 11 grand. And then I remember buying one probably in 2018. I bought it from Tourneau.
Yeah.
It's part of their certified pre-owned, and it was 20,000.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
That's when you could just go in there and find like cool stuff.
Yeah.
But I bought that there. I think I've bought two from them in the last like 6 or 7 years. I mean, when they were 25.
Yeah, right.
But like, there will be something else that gets hot and hyped. Sure. And
I think the 5712 is still just a great watch. I don't like 5711 very much.
See, I like the 3711, 3712.
3712.
It was made for like a year before the 5712.
Okay.
Very similar.
I don't know if I know it. Oh, yes. Okay, yeah, same watch.
Yeah, very similar.
You know what's funny? Before all this hype, it's not even a great story. I just never forget seeing that watch. I was interning at a law firm in the city, and I would hang out after work a lot and like smoke cigars and drink booze with guys, with law firm guys. It was a lot of fun, actually. Manly stuff, and we were getting pretty bombed on the Upper East Side, and there was this dude. This is way before the hype. We're talking 2000, and I graduated college in 2016. So this is, I just farted. So this is 2015. That's a long time before all that blew up. And a guy had that watch, and I remember he thought that I was a lawyer at Boy Schiller. He didn't realize I was a college student interning at Boy Schiller. So he assumed that. So then I just perpetuated the assumption and just didn't tell him that I was,
You're like, yeah, I'm partner.
So I'm a partner, right? So he was like, I forget what I was wearing. I don't even know what I was wearing. But I complimented his watch, and he's like, oh, God, blah, 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 Patek, blah, 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 blah. He's like, what Pateks, like, what references do you have? And the only reference I can come up with was 3940. And I was like, 3940, it was, that I love and whatever.
3940 P.
Yeah, P, exactly. I actually had one of those for a while. But please, I sold it for like 65 grand. Idiot. Anyway, I'll never forget that. I was like, I can't believe I just lied. I'm going to kill myself. I can't believe I just lied. But
I hope he's listening.
Yeah, exactly. If he is, buddy, I was listening. I was lying. I had nothing. I had a Rolex Datejust, and that was it. And I'm proud of that watch, and I still wear it. That being said, I'd like to buy 5712. So if you can hook me up, that'd be great.
That's awesome.
But anyway, it's a long time ago.
Thanks for having me again.
Dude, thank you so much for coming on.
I'll have to share anecdotes if I'm invited back.
Yeah, you'll be back soon.
About Palm Beach and stuff.
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool.
Thanks. Get out of here, boss. If you guys enjoyed this sneak peek to this episode, go ahead and sign up to listen to the full 1-hour episode over on patreon.com/ChristianZerone. It's $10 a month, but we give a $50 credit when you sign up and another $50 credit around Christmas in the Theo and Harris Strap Shop. So you're getting free product all year, basically. That's it. We'll see you guys over there soon.